What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Reddit video here on the Life Stories channel. My name's Dylan, and today we're going to be looking at some stories from the subreddit Tales from the Front Desk. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I'm going to have you and your general manager fired all over an ice cream. 12:52 AM. Guy claiming to be in room 111 wanted to buy 3 flat boy ice creams and charge it to the room. I let him know that my system was currently down for the audit and I was unable to look up the information to charge anything to the room. I let him know that my system would be back up in about 5 to 10 minutes if he wanted to take a seat and wait, or he could pay cash for the items. He said that I should trust him, that he's in room 111 and that I could just write it down and bill them later. Now, yes, my dear reader, I could do that. But according to the physical registration card in our bucket, the room was listed under a female's name only, and he obviously was not her. Just to be safe, and maybe to see if his name was in the notes section as another party in the room, I would need the system to be fully up. I let him know that I was unable to do that, and if he wanted to avoid the wait, he could pay in cash for the items. He refused and got very rude towards me. He then threatened to tell my manager on me for, as he put it, being on the phone for personal calls numerous times when he walked past the front desk. He said that it would be a shame if your manager found out and you got in trouble for that. I told him he was free to talk to my manager about that if he liked, and handed him the general manager's business card. Now, it was going on 1 AM, and yes, I am on the phone for personal calls. Management has no problem with this because they know if a guest walks up and needs help, I always give priority to the guest. So his pathetic attempt to try and threaten / blackmail me to get his way was just not gonna work. He then stated that there's nothing you can do and I'm gonna go to my room now no matter what with that ice cream. I let him know that if he left the front desk with the items without paying, that it would be taken as theft. He then tried to walk away. It was at this point that I called the houseman on the radio, and he was at the desk in less than a minute. The guy stopped in his tracks and stated that he was taking the ice cream and he would be back in a few minutes with the $6. I told him once again that if he came back to the front desk with the payment, only then could he have the items. He kept trying to say that I could just bill the room because I knew his wife and him. I only said hi to the guy once whilst he was standing at the desk with a lady, who I later found out was his wife, and that I didn't know him in any other way other than that. Now, I will talk to anyone who walks up to the front desk, but most of the time do not know their names or what room they're in. 1:05 AM. When the computer came back up, it turned out his name was never on the room, only his wife's name was registered. 1:07 AM. The gentleman from above came to the desk and handed me $6 for the ice cream, and at that time took the ice cream to his room. 1:22 AM. Wife in room 111 came to the desk and threatened to have me fired for how I treated her and her husband during the entire stay. She stated that she'd never ever been to a Smilton where she was treated so badly as I've treated them. She states that she travels nationwide and stays at Smilton all across the country. She asked for the general manager's information, which I already gave her husband moments earlier. She said that it wasn't good enough and that she wanted the info above general manager because she was going to make sure that even the general manager was fired for how her stay had gone. She then stated that I don't deserve to work at any hotel because I do not know how to do my job. I told her I was sorry that she felt that way and she was welcome to talk to my manager about me if she wanted to. She said that she's writing a letter to Smilton Corporate, and by Monday me and my general manager would be unemployed and homeless. Afterwards, they did complain to the general manager and she told them that she'd already watched it on the security cameras. She also stated that the husband was lucky that they weren't kicked out and had the cops called on them for trying to blackmail her staff. They tried to escalate it to get the general manager fired because they didn't get their way, but nothing ever came of that. That's the oldest trick in the book, the kind of I've travelled the world. Oh, I've stayed in so many of these properties, I should be royalty, I'm a no. Just be polite, it's really simple. You followed policy, 1 star. It's been a long time, my friends, but I feel I have a good tale from this past weekend to share with y'all. Go refill your coffee because this one's a bit long, but it's worth it. Last Friday, I was checking an Expedia reservation and a prepaid one at that, when the guest asked to add their loyalty number. Cue me explaining that not only is that not allowed, it's not exactly loyalty if you're booking through someone else who gets a cut of the check, but we can't even see how much the guest paid Expedia for the room to credit them the proper amount of points. They then asked about extending the reservation, and of course I can't do that because we just discussed how you paid on Expedia for the room, but I'd be happy to make it up for you in a separate reservation for an additional night, and we can set it up so you don't have to switch rooms. Guest says that they'll think about it. I got into work Saturday at noon only to find out from my co-worker that not only did this guest try and trick her into adding the loyalty number to the reservation that morning after I'd said no, but they also tried to trick her into extending the reservation too. The guest actually tried the girl last night said we could method, and now I'm livid. So I wait half of my shift for the guest to come back to the hotel. The way the building's set up, the only way to come in is past the front desk, before I see them try to sneak past into the elevator. Hey, remember me? I need to talk to you about your reservation. Given that my co-worker is a sweetheart and literally harmless, and the fact that she told me straight out what happened with this guest because she knew it was wrong, I decided that I had ovaries of steel and asked them why they asked my co-worker to extend their Expedia reservation after I'd explained why we couldn't. And of course the guest throws my co-worker under the bus, claiming that they didn't ask that, it's a misunderstanding and I should have my facts straight. I know I should be nicer about this, but I'm sure I have the facts down, and I haven't even confronted you about the loyalty number, but I digress and get an ID and a credit card to build a new reservation for the second night. I asked the guest if they have that loyalty number handy, they affirm that they do and read it to me, and my PMS auto-populates with someone else's name. This loyalty account doesn't appear to be yours, I say. And the guest responds that the name on it is the woman's name, and her husband and the guest and another woman all use it. Have you ever had a moment where a guest says to you, "I'm gonna dig my own grave and look, I bought a shovel"? I start explaining that the loyalty program rules specifically state that accounts are individual accounts only, and that the company doesn't allow for joint/married/shared accounts, and that the person that owns the loyalty account has to be paying for the room and staying in the hotel to get the credit, and that this is on the website. The guest keeps digging a deeper hole, talking about how the account holder is his mum and she got the account when she got a timeshare, and that the family has been doing this all over the place at other properties, and that the guest even has a pending reservation in another state with the same loyalty number on it that was booked by his mother. With some quick thinking on my part, I've managed to save this loyalty number on a fake reservation and build a new one at the regular rate, with the guest's actual information while they were talking. I check it in, give them their cards back, and eventually have the front desk to myself again, upon I immediately text my general manager with an update. She's amused by this and indicates that the loyalty department at corporate will be getting a call on Monday. Sunday morning rolls around and I'm doing the early shift, surviving on an espresso, when the guest comes down to check out and says that there are a couple of problems with their bill. I ask if they can explain what those problems are so that I can fix them. The first complaint is that the rate of the last night wasn't the royalty member rate. Well, yeah, because the royalty number wasn't yours, my friend. We went over this last night. The guest asks if they can create their own member account separately, and I affirm that they can. When they say, "And would that get me a refund for the Wi-Fi upgrade on Friday then?" That's a no, because one, it's only a free upgrade if you're a high status, there's no standard free Wi-Fi for everyone else, and that's the Expedia night. No loyalty benefits, you dingus. Of course, this starts another argument about why I can't just put their mother's loyalty card number on there. They don't have this problem anywhere else, all the other hotels give good customer service. Yes, I know, I constantly remind my general manager that she pays me to ruin people's days, but that's beside the point. I reiterate that we are following policy and I will not be doing anything with his mother's loyalty number, and he responds by, "I kid you not, narrating his bad view of our hotel and the poor service I gave as he writes it on his phone while standing across from the front desk, telling me that he's gonna call corporate and leaving. I text my general manager with another update, and she responds and says that I hope that she calls and complains because he'll trigger the loyalty account audit on his own and save her the call. Well, that review came through on Google and it was the typical "I'm a loyalty member, how dare they," and actually included the words "Unfortunately, this hotel decided to enforce the policy." And me and my general manager, my awesome general manager, responded by stating multiple times that the loyalty account belongs to her mother and not them. Therefore, they have no ability to use it, and it's all parents' responsibility to uphold these policies. How often can you say that a guest trying to throw around their status backfired on them? I mean, the guy's technically annoyed that OP ruined his family's little scheme. Technically it's a form of fraud. I bet he got yelled at by his parents over this, so he had to deflect the blame onto OP. No, go ahead and scream at me. I'm sure that will work. I love this sub because it reminds me of the hellish days working at the Great Smolf Smodge in one of their best properties. Anyway, this story comes from the front desk of the RV park I work at. You probably wouldn't be shocked to hear how similar our reservation process and how abhorrent our guests and tenants can be. It's pretty much like dealing with a hotel guest, except sometimes they happen to own the specific room they stay in. I have plenty of stories, but this one took the cake this summer. I live in the Midwest at a very convenient intersection of two major highways running north, south and east-west. So for a lot of RVers, our park is a perfect stopping point. We're locally owned and operated, and our only competition is actually outside of town, literally triple our prices, and are owned by two major camping companies. We offer very competitive rates, have a super easy process, and literally 3 employees at the most to deal with on any given day. I had a reservation call in a few days before arrival. They told me that they were coming into town to trade their current RV for a brand new one and needed a few nights so they could get all the DMV work done and be back on their way. Great, I took the 1 night deposit, gave them directions etc, and they said, "Oh, by the way, we drove down the campsite a few days ago and we would like the site XYZ. I told them, as I tell everyone, we do not guarantee sites, but I'll try my best to see if we can get that site for you. No guarantees as we're constantly having to adjust the reservations and accommodate campers already here or ones that are coming in." We ended the phone call as usual. Our system is such that we use notes on reservations for the most part and do our best to accommodate requests, as we know people will just be happier if given the site they want. Whatever, at the end of the day you're only guaranteed site type and area of our park. The day comes and the site that the folks wanted was occupied, but we had a few other and frankly better options for them, and I was happy to move them and explain the issue at hand. The second they came in, I knew it was going to be an issue. The wife, we will call her MB, Miss was quiet, but doing that thing where she looked around at our office as if it was rat infested. We simply have brochures and a bunch of mailboxes for our permanent folks. The man says his last name, and instead of exchanging pleasantries, says site XYZ like he's James Bond, and I said, "Hi there. I know you'd requested that site when booking, but we weren't able to do that spot." Before I could even get the alternatives out, DMF goes absolutely ape. DMF: "No, we requested site XYZ. Me: "I understand that, but we do not guarantee sites." DMF literally screaming and pounding his fist on the desk. "No, I want site XYZ. Me: "Someone is in that site, we don't guarantee sites. I can put you in, DMF. Well, why the hell would you tell me that I could have it then?" Me: "I told no one you can have it, we don't guarantee sites for this reason." Please keep in mind that when people scream in my face, I sort of just shut down. At this point he's screaming and yelling 2 feet away from me, not allowing me to collect payment, explain his options, make the stay better, any of it. I'm just staring at my computer screen, allowing his temper to run out. DMF, give me a number I can call. Me, the only number I can give you is to this desk. DMF, well, I know you don't care, you're just trying to collect a paycheck. Me, if I didn't care, I wouldn't have let you scream in my office for the last 10 minutes. DMF, oh, suddenly it's your office. Ha, right, you can't even move our site. Me, it is my site. I'm well within my rights to put you in any site I'd like, just as much as I can tell you to leave. At this point he switches angles. DMF, okay, so what if we just leave tomorrow morning? Me, so what? DMF, then you'll be refunding us for the 2 nights we don't stay. Me, no, I won't be doing that. You'd be voluntarily leaving early and we don't give refunds for that. DMF, back to screaming. Well, you voluntarily changed our site. Me, we don't give refunds, but if you decide to leave early, that's a voluntary departure. DMF, you voluntarily changed our site. Me, this is not your site. We accommodate specific requests when possible. The only thing that is yours at this campground is your RV. Everything else is our property and we reserve the right to do booking and policy as we please. Finally, his wife pipes up. MB, is there anyone else we can talk to? Me, sure, we have an on-site manager, but I can guarantee with absolute certainty that he will not tell you anything different. DMF, we'll see. I highlight our on-site manager's number, direct them to the site they're meant to go and allow them to walk away. I immediately call our on-site manager who lives on a house on the property and tell him that a man who just screamed in my face will likely be calling him soon. Our on-site is in his late 60s, good old boy, and in some ways his sexism benefits me at times because he doesn't put up with men mistreating us at the office. Instead of driving down to the site to deal with DMF, he came in to ask if I was okay and if I wanted to kick them out, etc, etc. His face was red and he was not happy. Side note, he'd also asked if I felt safe and needed to leave early. I love this man's attitude and his understanding of how traumatic it can be for people to behave this way. He goes down to the site that I put DMF and his dumb wife in and returns about 20 minutes later. I let on-site know that if they aren't satisfied we still have some much better sites available, but the man wouldn't let me get a word in. My on-site rolls his eyes and says no, he says he likes the site you put him in better than the one he asked for. You've got to be kidding me. On-site also says, he said he's going to come and apologise, and I tell him he can shove his apology, I don't want it. And not 20 seconds later, DMF and his wife come in to apologise. I merely stare at him, and whilst he goes through the sorry, you know, it's so stressful to be travelling, yada 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 yada, sorry. Not once did he apologise for mistreating me, or yelling at me, or belittling me, or disrespecting me in my place of work and position. He simply apologised for being stressed. I said, okay, have a good night. DMF, okay, well I can see you're not going to accept my apology. Me, okay. DMF, well, if that's all then. Me stares back at him. DMF, we really like the new site. Me, good to know. DMF, okay, take care, bye bye. The second they closed the door, I had any and all types of notes and emails associated with DNB on their account. I also went ahead and called those local expensive ass corporate campgrounds and let them know a fit of rage and not to let them in if they can help it. We're in the Midwest and this means that the next time they pass through with their 180k camper, they have to drive 4+ hours to find a campground because no one and nowhere within 300 miles will book them. Well, I hope the other businesses around that local area do DNB them because that would just be a wonderful, wonderful example of karma. Well folks, that's the end for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like rating down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.